Hi, Ernesto. Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
It all stemmed up from a conversation we had a couple of weeks back in Toronto, and we said we were going to get this done, and here we are today.
Awesome.
Pleasure's mine. So, Ernesto Pellegrino, CTO here at Assurance IT. Eli, I'll let you introduce yourself.
I'm Elie Nasrallah, sales engineer with SentinelOne. Been in the security industry for almost 27 years, and great to be here with you and talking about some of the latest and greatest in security.
Awesome. Awesome. So, we'll get started. Just so what we can expect 30 minutes discussion around really what is the next generation antivirus. We're going to go ahead and cover four specific topics, right? So first topic, what is the difference between zero trust security model and the perimeter based security model? We'll start with that, and then we'll stem into what is next generation antivirus, also known as aka EDR technology, why EDR is so important, and then we'll end with a quick demo around the technology to drive us through and understand what the bells and whistles look like. So the question, Eli, the key term, the buzzword in the industry is zero trust, right? Moving away from moving to a security model that's perimeter based to a security model really that is more zero trust infrastructure. So can you just maybe drive us through that and explain what this buzzword zero trust is all about?
Yeah, great question. Are in fact looking to implement zero trust strategy, especially when the pandemic hit. Many organizations were forced to do that since most of their workers were working remotely. Zero trust is basically not trusting anyone inside nor outside your organization until if they're verified. Whereas perimeter-based security trusts you if you're inside the organization. And the reality is, it's been proven that over the last 2 decades, the adversaries can get past the perimeter defenses, which have been proven to be very weak and deeply flawed, especially since we've seen even the most secure organizations get breached over the years, as well as many security companies suffering from cyber attacks, ransomware outbreaks. SentinelOne is leading zero trust initiatives with integrations like our XDR response for Okta to orchestrate a response across multiple attack vectors at machine speed as part of a zero trust program while fully automating the remediation process or forcing multi-factor authentication while at the same time addressing alert fatigue since analysts won't need to sort through the thousands of authentication logs. We have other integrations as well, including Zscaler, and our recent acquisition of Ativo Networks expands our XDR platform visibility and actionability across identity security services, which is a huge attack vector. Adversaries are after identities to try and bypass zero trust security models. And as you know, Active Directory or identities is the prime
Right.
target for cyber attacks.
Yeah, that brings up a great point, right? So a couple of key points that you brought up, Eli, were, due to the pandemic, a lot of organizations have shifted, and end users are working from home, so that big challenge there. With again, we can thank the pandemic again for the delays in ordering servers and hardware. So a lot of companies are shifting towards cloud offerings, Azure, AWS, Google platform. So that brings a lot of constraint in the environment. A little bit different. Users are used to working a little bit differently, and organizations need to adapt, right? So it brings up the next question. Next generation antivirus, another key term. So is it only about protecting the endpoint, or does it go beyond the endpoint?
Yeah, definitely beyond the endpoint. More is at stake, and more is available to adversaries. They will seek out and destroy anything they can get to, and then pivot from those systems. whether it's mobile devices, cloud, you name it, they're after it all, and they've proven that they'll get what they're after. EDR really took off over the last few years, and for those that aren't familiar with it, endpoint detection and response is a newer cybersecurity solution which detects and remediates cyber threats, and provides endpoint monitoring and defenses that can catch the threats that bypass perimeter defenses, especially the multi-stage, multi-vector threats that are trying to get anywhere and then pivot from there, move laterally. If I'm designing an EDR strategy for a company, I'd want to pick the security vendor that detects and responds better than anyone else, and that's key, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And like you said, when you're designing a security model for an organization, you look at different vendors, right? And we tend to use MITRE as a key indicator on trustworthy partners to work with. How does SentinelOne stand in the MITRE spectrum?
Yeah, we've been leading the MITRE Ingenuity eval results for years now. And that's a great test. Ernesto, you bring up a really good point. The MITRE nonpartisan third party does these third party tests leveraging different APTs. Last year it was Carbonac and Fin7, and they put us up against that, as well as the many other security vendors, and we had zero misses. We didn't need
Awesome.
to make any configuration changes. We didn't have any delays, and nor should you allow for that in this day and age, especially with the sophistication of these cyber attacks and the rapid fire of ransomware. You need a solution that you could set and forget and depend on it without much user intervention. And the MITRE attack results are online. They're available for your audience to go and view the results, how we stacked up against all the other vendors. And you could see all the tactics, techniques that were used throughout that test. And we caught them all.
Awesome. Awesome. We'll definitely share that link at the end of the live with the audience so they can go really reference that for themselves, right? And you bring up a great point. It's a different way, or it's a different model around security, right? We think about the traditional antivirus where we would install an aid and then it would scan the environment. It would run scans versus the environment and have signature updates on a regular basis when there is a new attack or a new virus that's understood or common to the environment. Is that the case with SentinelOne?
No, in fact, we don't rely on signatures. Our AI autonomous platform utilizes behavioral analysis, and our AI engine is used not only on our endpoints but for our servers, cloud, other solutions as well, across the enterprise. Whereas the old style of AV and even other companies that are trying to implement an EDR solution, unfortunately, aren't quick to detect and remediate, which is the goal, right? You want to be able to
Absolutely.
catch things quick across all the attack vectors and stop them dead in the tracks, which is what we do at SentinelOne.
And that's a great point, right? And we've had the luxury of working with you and your team on certain deployments, and we see the advantage of having it, right? So we not only do we resell SentinelOne, but we also drink the Kool-Aid where we have it installed and configured on all our workstations and our mobile devices, right? So it brings up a good point. We had a conversation a couple of weeks back with Luigi on our last LinkedIn Live, and we discussed the 13 security controls suggested by Cybersecure Canada to help organizations become cyber resilient, right? So they identified these 13 security controls, and we try to look at them and say, okay, how can we be better? How can we enable these security controls really to be more secure? And for sure, the ultimate result is to get cyber insurance, right? And when we're talking to these cyber insurance carriers, endpoint protection and response is first on the list, right? They will not insure you without endpoint detection and response. So it brings up my next question, or my next concern is, why is EDR important, right? So
Yeah.
one, insurance, right? Can you add to that, Eli?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. EDR is definitely important to not only gain visibility across all your systems, but by choosing the right solution, you'll be able to prevent the breach from occurring and ultimately reducing the risk of compromise to circumvent outages, data loss, ransomware attacks. So by choosing that EDR solution, you're not only protecting the organization, but you're reducing that risk of compromise greatly.
Awesome. Great point. Right. And on the screen, you see the zero trust pillars, right? We start with the endpoint that's common to everyone. The workloads, server, VMs, any workload that you may have can be protected. Can you drive a little bit maybe into identity and what that means, and stem off into the network segment?
Yeah, for sure. As I mentioned earlier, the adversaries are after identities, right? They're escalating privileges, they're attacking Active Directory, for example, and trying to steal credentials and use those and pivot it to the crown jewels and attack systems where it can be used. Well, we recently acquired Ativo Networks, the leader in deception, and helps us strengthen not only our XDR story, but identity, and making sure that your identities are protected because the adversaries are after them day in and day out. And we see it, we hear about it all the time, where these credentials are used to access highly sensitive systems, right? And with our integrations with Okta and the others, we could actually force re-authentication, for example, and make sure that as soon as we see something, we're cutting off access.
That's great. And from a networks, see, one of the key points of the 13 security controls is really establishing a segmentation of your network. How can this EDR solution help there?
Yeah, so SentinelOne, the beauty of our solution, it's a single agent, a very simple to deploy, easy to manage, single agent that does all the magic. This AI autonomous platform, and you could actually with our Ranger solution, that's part of the single pane of glass into our management console, gain visibility across all your networks, all your enterprise, see which IoT or OT devices might not be secure or systems that might not have security on it. And with the push of a button, you could deploy our agent to those systems and start securing them regardless where they are across your network.
Okay, okay, that's perfect. That's perfect. And I have a question here from one of the audience members. Is it a SaaS solution or is it an on-premise solution when we talk about the management of the endpoints?
We support both. We do have a cloud native management console, but we do support on-prem as well, and we could actually support air gap networks where you might not have communication outside of that environment. We don't need the cloud to do our analysis and detection, and we could automate the rollback, which is one of our patented features. Where if we see malware, we're going to actually detect it and roll back that system to a clean state before the adversary has an opportunity to escalate and the attack and continue with the attack lifecycle.
Yeah, and the rollback feature is key, right? As they say in Quebec, right, in French, right? It's what makes rollback feature.
So I didn't catch that, Ernesto.
No worries. In regards to the rollback feature, Eli, is that supported within Windows and Mac and Linux?
The rollback is for Windows. It actually leverages the Microsoft VSS shadow. So our solution does support Linux, Mac, mobile devices, cloud, whether it's your Kubernetes and workloads, and storage arrays as well, like NetApp. But the rollback is Windows specific, where as soon as that malware hits, we could automate the process where we're going to a clean state of that system and stopping the malware from executing and continuing. and ultimately preventing a ransomware outbreak or and a compromise from happening.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay, so I guess it leads us to our last question before we get to the demo. Right? Is why SentinelOne, and what are customers saying? Oh la la! It's what makes the difference. It's why I choose SentinelOne when I push forward these security initiatives. Is it the rollback feature?
It's a combination of many things. The one thing I hear from our partners, our customers, um, uh, MSSPs, SOC as a service companies that have all adopted us is it works. Not only does it work to detect and remediate quickly, but it works in a SOC manner where you could actually just deploy and forget about it, and it's easy to manage. And so we have underneath the covers many different things like the rollback feature, which we've patented. We've got our storyline, which makes it easy for SOC analysts and incident responders to connect the dots. We correlate all that info in this one easy to read screen, addressing the alert fatigue. We also address the many false positives as well. And this AI autonomous platform is used to secure not only your endpoints, but also your cloud, your mobile devices, your storage devices to get full, complete security across the enterprise.
Fantastic. Okay, so I guess we'll just jump right into the demo. I believe the demo is around mobile. Is that correct?
Yeah, we've got a great mobile solution. One thing I've been hearing a lot of from many customers and partners is this is a huge gap that isn't addressed by mobile device management systems or your typical EDR solution. And this is a great demo that showcases what the risks are out there. And with SentinelOne on deployed to your iOS, your Android device, or Chrome OS, you could actually prevent the phishing attacks or what have you from happening. So thanks for showing this.
We'll go right ahead. So while we roll through it, Eli, so it's an app available in the App Store.
Correct. So it's actually available in the App Store, but it's easy to deploy from the console. You could actually send the user a QR code or a link, and they could easily install it. What you're seeing here is the Android phone to your left, and then our basically malware session going on in the main browser called the Zkit in Firefox. And here we're establishing a connection. The Android device has clicked on the link and is running, the malware. Most times they don't even realize it, and it's happening in the background. They've clicked the link, and everything can happen silently, where the adversary is taking control of your device, whether it's an iPhone or tablet or Chromebook, and then they will actually start stealing information. I think we lost the demo.
Yeah, I think we did. 1 second. Be right back. Sorry about that.
And it's a great example of and nobody realizes it, right behind the scenes. You think you're going to this Disney site that's legitimate, and if you've connected to a rogue access point, that adversary, cyber criminals, have taken control of your system, which is basically the next step. They're going to take control of that machine, whether it's iOS, Android, Chrome, and then the attack lifecycle begins. They could actually steal things, whether it's your contacts, your photos, your SMS messages, your without you even knowing. And unfortunately, it's a great way for them to start stealing credentials, right? And this is could be part of the advanced reconnaissance or intelligence gathering stage where they're going to get as much as they can. This could be an administrator's phone, could be somebody inside of the organization, could be a BYOD device as well. So you think now you're clicking to download an Amazon gift card or whatever it may be. We've all seen them, and this package installer will basically allow the adversary to take control of the phone.
This is awesome, right? And today's world where everybody's working remotely, have access to their internal applications or corporate applications within their mobile device, security becomes it becomes necessary, right? And the ability to be able to manage all this through one single pane of glass or one single provider is key. And I think it's what really makes SentinelOne different. We have a question while this is rolling, unless you want to continue through the demo and talk through it.
Yeah, no, I could take the question.
Sure. So the question is the mobile app only available for enterprises, or can it be bought by consumers?
Yeah, that's a great question. It can be purchased by consumers. We can find out, Ernesto.
Yeah, we can find out and get back to them. But I know for sure we're rolling this out to several enterprises, and definitely it's a managed environment where you can manage one to many devices. But in terms of consumers, I think we're going to have to go back and find out if it is available to the general public.
Right.
This section is interesting, where you can disconnect and connect your Wi-Fi.
Yeah, it actually gives you warnings as well. So you could actually set the policy depending on the organization or even the type of users you've deployed to, where you could force things from happening. It integrates it seamlessly with MDMs like Intune and AirWatch or Mobile Iron, but it also works independently of them. So you could actually set the policies. And here's the login into the main console where you could see the attack happening, the different threats that were received from the start, as soon as the user accessed the rogue access point, to the phishing link and all the details. And you can gain a ton of information from this dashboard. It integrates directly with the MITRE attack, and you could actually just gain additional knowledge, but throughout each stage of this attack lifecycle, and see what the attacker was doing, and gain details that way. But we can definitely schedule a deeper demo for any of your audience members that are interested, and I could even do the rollback demo. And we've got many other great solutions that we'd love to show at any time.
Eli, what I haven't told you is this is one of many LinkedIn Lives that we're going to be doing together, right? And today we focused on EDR and the general aspect of SentinelOne, but definitely to your point, I think we can deep dive into EDR, XDR, Ranger product suite, and see really deep dive into the product and help our users, our readers, our LinkedIn Live attendees understand what it's all about and why you are the leaders in MITRE.
That'd be great. Yeah, I'd love to come back and dive deeper into those as well.
So we're stepping on to 25 minutes. I think we answered all four of the questions, all four of the points we wanted to discuss today. I'll just take a quick look in the chat to see if there's any other questions. I think we're good. Eli, is there anything else that you want to bring up before we go ahead and close the live?
Yeah, I think time is of the essence for everyone. I think a lot of organizations thought, over the years they deployed these layer upon layer of defenses, and yet everyone's still under attack. So it's time for everyone to reevaluate, reassess your detection efficacy with all your layers, especially endpoint, cloud, mobile, you name it. And we're here to help, right? Please, engage us, and it'll only better your security posture.
Awesome. Well said. Absolutely right. We can only protect, right? It's not if, it's when. So we need to be protected at at every layer in order to be able to protect against ransomware and against the bad guys, as they call them, right? So
exactly.
we're here to help from Assurance IT. We're here to help organizations become cyber resilient. So we take them through those security controls one by one, and we work with SentinelOne when it comes to endpoint protection, mobile protection, network segmentation. So feel free to reach out to either myself, Ernesto Pellegrino. You could find me on LinkedIn, and Eli. Where can they find you, Eli?
Yeah, Elie.Nasrallah at SentinelOne.com. I'm on LinkedIn as well. Feel free to connect there. And you know, I'm on all the social media sites too. So if you Google my name, Elie Nasrallah, you'll find me.
Awesome. Eli, was a pleasure.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for taking the time and having this discussion, and look forward to future discussions on LinkedIn.
My pleasure, Ernesto.
Awesome.
Thanks everyone for joining.
Thank you, and have a great weekend, everyone. Have a great long weekend.